Hi everyone, Chris Tack here, survivorsofabuse.org.uk and West Wickham Health and Fitness. So I just wanted to jump on here today to just share with you my book that I wrote in 2012. It was published and released in 2013. And I shared a post about celebrating the 10th anniversary beginning of September. And as we're coming to the end of September, I just thought I would remind you all about the book, Through the Eyes of a Child. And the top sentence says, "Every child in the world is a gift. Why would you abuse it?" And at the bottom it says, "The bruises you can't see are the deepest." So mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, economic, financial abuse, that's not what I suffered, online abuse, peer-to-peer abuse, institutional abuse, the list goes on and on. It is everywhere. Anyone can be a perpetrator. Anyone can be a victim. Abuse knows no bounds. It is very prevalent, and as a society, we are apathetic towards it. It's endemic, it's a public health scare, and it needs to be addressed in a different way to how we have been addressing it. Now, some of you know I worked on the VSCP, Victim and Survivors Consultative Panel, as part of the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse for nearly 8 years. That report, their final report, that was published in October 22, shows and shares the experiences of over 7,000 adult victim and survivors who came forwards, shared their lived experience of the abuse that they suffered at the hands of adults. Within institutions this abuse took place, and or in the family home and the wider networks. They shared the impact of the abuse that they endured, the impact it had on them in all areas of their lives, mental and physical health, their relationships, their work, their careers. Every single facet of their lives was and is impacted. We who came forwards shared access to specialist support services, what that looked like, i.e. most of us couldn't access services when we needed them or when we do need them. Yeah, we talked about our journey or access to redress or criminal justice. We talked about the challenges of all of this. We talked about being let down by the services that were there and are there, should be there to protect us. We spoke about all of this. So the inquiry was looking at institutional abuse and let down by. There were many victim and survivors who had been abused within the family home or the family environment, the family network, who had been let down by the statutory services that are there to protect them. Yeah. And lots of people say, "Oh, but that was ages ago. What you went through was ages ago. Get over it." The thing is, the acts of abuse might have been a long time ago. They're non-recent. However, the impact is with us today in the present moment. And that is what we are trying to educate society about, because you can't leave stuff in the past if the impact, the trauma impact, is still living with you today. You need to deal with that. You need help in dealing with that, okay? It's not something that you can just get over and get on with. So I just want to finish up by saying the work of the VSCP, the work of victims and survivors who are still coming forwards on a daily basis, that work continues. The government have worked and are working on mandatory reporting. They're working on redress. They're working on specialist support. They're looking at it. They're asking for people's opinions from the professional world as well as survivors. So they're doing all of the investigative work. But the report, the work of the inquiry that they spent millions on, over 160 million, I think it's 168 million, the work has been done. The recommendations are there in the final report. All they need to do is act on those recommendations. So the work going forwards is for us to make sure that whatever government is in power, that this issue of child sexual abuse and responding to it is at the highest level of priority, and that it's a cross-party effort to implement the recommendations and also to respond to child sexual abuse in a different way, because the system as it stands is utterly broken. Now, the response from the government so far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, is great that they've started, but we need a child minister or a minister responsible for child protection. We need a child protection agency. We need one single point of contact that we can hold to account, that we can work with, that everybody has to sign up to, and everybody is on the same page as to what we all need to do to raise awareness, protect, respond, and deal with child sexual abuse in all its forms. That includes exploitation, it includes peer-to-peer, it includes online, it includes everything, that everybody will be on the same page to protect children today from sexual abuse and the impacts of trauma because of that abuse. I'm just going to read you the back page of my book, just to bring it home, guys, that this work has been ongoing for decades. There's been many people before me coming out speaking about this, but I think we are at a pinnacle point where we all have to get behind any changes that the IICSA recommended and get the government to actually go, you know what we're doing is just sticking plasters on a broken system. We need to overhaul the system. And the recommendations, all 22 of them, need to be implemented as a package and not picked and implemented one here, one there, just to put a plaster on a broken system. It needs overhauling, okay? If you have not read that final report, and it still needs a lot of work. How do you actually implement? What does that look like? That's the work. But we need the Minister for Child Protection and the CPA, the agency, whoever that might be, we need that to implement and to work through the challenges of the recommendations and to get everybody to sign up, work together, collaborate and push this all forwards. So, I am living proof that your childhood does not have to determine your life. No one cared and no one listened. In my world, I became a mum when I was 7, not physically, but to my siblings. My siblings and I could have wound up as being just another statistic of child abuse. For us, it wasn't just one or a few isolated incidences, but a tidal wave of neglect, bullying, starvation, and survival. For a long time, I wanted to share my story, but I didn't feel strong enough. Child abuse never leaves you. You're not supposed to be beaten, touched, or starved when you're a child. Mummies and daddies are supposed to love you, not leave you, beat you, or molest. When you're a child, your mind is vulnerable. So when you are constantly bullied, put down, told you're worthless, when your carers, your teachers, the social workers and other kids bully you, abuse you on a day-to-day basis, your mind gets messed up. You grow up believing it was all your fault. The guilt and the sense of blame eat into everything you do and everything you are. When I started writing this all down, because I felt like I wanted to start to get past what was holding me back, I had to find the courage to speak up. I had been disbelieved so many times throughout being a child and young person that's rejection or disbelief silenced me, and it stops many people today from speaking out. It takes an average of 20 years of someone who has gone through abuse to actually share what they've gone through. Society has to change the way that they respond to victims and survivors of all forms of abuse. Now, the back cover of this book doesn't cover what I've got on the back cover of my health and well-being book that I wrote for survivors of all forms of abuse. Only 1 in 8 children are known to the authorities. Let that sink in. So all of the statutory services that are responding to children who are being abused, they only know about 1 in 8 children. So there is a silent epidemic of children going through abuse, living with the impact, and going on to become adults and trying to work out where they fit in the world. Is the world safe? And going on to have children without dealing with their trauma impact, because many will not know that what they've gone through is causing the symptoms that they're living with, and it's all a result of trauma and the impact because of what they've gone through as a child. So we're setting ourselves up for generations of impact not being sorted and being passed down the line to the next generation. That is why we need to take a completely different approach to responding to child sexual abuse and just abuse in general. But, you know, we have seen lots of kickback to victims and survivors of abuse coming forwards recently, why didn't they come forward sooner? Why are they only speaking up now? Yeah. There is a lot of education and awareness that needs to happen for society to truly understand the impact from being abused, being bullied, seeing, witnessing, experiencing domestic violence. Yeah. Whatever abuse you've gone through, yeah, it has an impact. It affects your everyday life, whether you know it or not. And when you decide that the life you're living is not caring, loving, nurturing, is not healthy, is not happy, you're not content, you've got this stuff going on that needs to be dealt with, needs to be sorted, you're going to come and find people like me that have spoken up for years, that have tried to deal with things in a way that is beneficial to me as an individual and society at large. You will come and find us and you will want to pick our brains on this whole subject. And like people before me, the more doors you get shut in your face, the more you don't get support and backing, the more you're silenced, you're going to backtrack and you're just going to go, you know what, this is too much. I'm going to walk away from this. I'm going to just go and live my life. There are many lobbyists, activists, people like me that have come before me that have just become so broken down, so disenfranchised, disempowered, because people that can change this stuff, respond to it in a different way, have the power, have the money to do so, are just not tapping into us and using our expertise and knowledge to change things for the better. And there are many people before me, as I've said, that are now living their lives because they've given it their all. They've tried to change the system. And they have been a cog in the bigger machine, and they have helped to change things. We are where we are today because of their efforts, yeah? But we need to get behind those who are advocating for these changes, that have the voice, that want to make the changes, want to take this further. We need to get behind them in whatever way we can and help them so that children can be better protected. Now, your child may never have gone through abuse, and I really, truly hope they haven't. But just because your child hasn't gone through abuse doesn't mean to say that their friend hasn't or isn't going through abuse. We are meant to be here for all children, not just our children, yeah? So for us to protect 500,000 at least a year, 500,000 children at least a year that go through abuse, and that is just tip of the iceberg. They are the future adults who are going to be impacted. We have a duty of care, guys, to protect children, full stop. Are we doing enough? Some of us are trying as hard as we can to turn up and speak up and work with those who have the power and the funds to better respond and better protect. But we all have a duty of care to do what we can, and raising awareness, speaking about this, getting behind those that are fighting whatever system that needs change is needed and is appreciated and is welcomed. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now, and I'm going to walk my dog and get my head in the game for whatever today brings and throws at me. So please share this video. Please have a conversation with those adults around you. Please keep your eyes open, your ears open, and help children and young people around you that may be going through abuse, are going through abuse. You could be the one that turns everything around for them and changes their life. So we've all got a duty, guys. I'm going to leave that with you. Take care. Bye for now.